Hey, AJ Casada here, co-founder of Revenue Boost. And if you're an agency owner, freelancer, consultant, any kind of service provider selling high-ticket services, cold outreach is the #1 way to get clients, and it's the easiest one to get started with. It's free, it's infinitely scalable, it's super hyper-targeted, you can really laser in on those perfect fit dream clients for your business, and you can reach anyone, anywhere in the world. Like, there's no niche you can't reach with cold outreach. Whether you're sending cold emails, LinkedIn DMs, social media DMs, cold calls, you can reach anyone. And it's really the simplest, fastest method to get started with if you're trying to get started generating your own leads and looking for the best method. There's not a lot of moving parts, and it's really, really simple to get up and running. Now, the question is though, like, where do you start, right? There's a lot of different tools out there. How do you know what the right tools are to use? How do you know which channel you should use? How do you know how to actually write your message in a way that stands out from everyone else who might be reaching out to the same prospects as you? There's a lot of questions, right? So that's what you're gonna learn in today's video. Recently, I hosted a cold outreach masterclass and over 500 people joined. And this masterclass, I covered exactly my 3-step system for booking more calls and getting more leads through cold outreach. Everything from step 1 to step 100, right? Like, we held nothing back in this masterclass. And this was a 2-part series. So today's video is the part 2. So we broke up this event into 2 different sessions. And today's the part 2 where we cover more of the advanced strategies and new tactics we've been experimenting with for cold outreach. Now, if you haven't seen the part 1 of this masterclass, I posted it just a few weeks ago on the channel. You can click the link down below and go watch that to get caught up. I do recommend you watch the part 1 first to learn the basics of the system before we go into the advanced stuff today. Anyways, enjoy the video and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. I'm AJ Casada, co-founder of Revenue Boost, and today we're going over the Cold Outreach Masterclass Part 2. We previously held a masterclass that I was honestly blown away by. Like, over 300 people signed up, came live to learn, and 300 agency owners and solopreneurs. And we had only promoted it like a week and a half out. We didn't even spend money on ads. And it just showed me, like, wow, people really want to learn cold email. People really want to learn how to use outreach to get clients, right? So because it was, such an impactful session, we decided to do a part 2 where we're going to cover advanced strategies based on the simple system you learned in part 1. Now, if you didn't see the part 1 of the masterclass, we're going to kind of start with a summary of part 1 so that we can kind of catch everyone up on like what we've learned so far. And then we're going to get into some advanced strategies like AI, LinkedIn versus email, and lots of fun stuff. Sweet. So here's what we know so far. Here's what we learned at Masterclass Part 1. So every agency, consultant, or solopreneur must have a systemized process to bring in clients on demand. Relying on referrals and networking is a slippery slope to mediocrity. And it means that you do not have a business, you have a well-paying job. And what does that mean, right? Look, it might sting to hear this if this is the case for you, but this is the reality. If you get most of your clients from referrals and networking, you don't really have a business. You have a well-paid job. And what does that mean by that? Because to me, the true measure of a business is that it can make money when you're not there. Otherwise, it's a job or it's self-employment, which there's nothing wrong with. But if you want true freedom as an entrepreneur, if you want to build multiple companies, if you want to be able to take a month off and travel while you're still making money, you need to have, it starts with leads, right? It starts with leads because leads make sure that the business grows. And when the business grows, you have cash flow to hire people to do the work for you, right? You can't hire people to do the work for you if you don't know how many leads are coming in, right? So everything rises and falls on leads. If you can solve your leads problems, you're going to solve like most other problems in your business, right? So again, the true measure of a business is, can it make money when you're not there, right? I'm going to Japan for 2 weeks, and I know that like we're going to get clients on board and fulfill while we're gone because I built a business. I didn't build a well-paying job, and it starts with leads. We also learned in Masterclass Part 1 that you don't need to have a huge budget. You don't even need to be extremely tech savvy to get your own leads. You just need a proven process to follow from A to Z. So I hear this question a lot. AJ, I'm introverted. AJ, I'm not very tech savvy. AJ, I don't really know how to get leads. I'm not really a marketing person. I'm not a salesperson extroverted like you, right? And I always tell everyone the same thing. You don't need to be. Can you follow directions? Then you can do this, right? Because really achieving anything in life, whether it's LinkedIn lead gen or paid ads, or even something in your personal life, like getting more healthy, getting more fit, right? It just comes down to following a series of steps, right? When you're trying to achieve anything in your life, you have 2 options. You can either figure out what those steps are through years and years of trial and error, or you can find an expert who's figured out the steps and just have them teach it to you, which is what you're doing today. And it's what I do all the time with my clients inside of Revenue Boost. I actually walk them through step by step all the stuff you're learning today. So again, if you're wondering, like, I want to do outreach, I want to do marketing, I want to get my own leads, but I'm worried, I'm introverted, I'm not tech savvy, I don't have a huge budget. You don't need any of that. You just need to be good at following a step-by-step directions, right? Which is what you're getting today. So I hope that inspires a lot of you, because you can do this. You can get another 3, 5, 10 clients in the next 1 to 2 months if you just follow the process and you just work hard at it, right? But it always comes down to having a proven system. If you don't have a proven system, again, like, you're going to spend years and years and years figuring out yourself, right? Why waste years of your life when you could just work with someone, a mentor, or you can learn from someone like in this masterclass and just skip all the trial and error, get all the shortcuts, get the cheat codes, right? So again, I don't recommend trying to figure out all of your lead gen on your own. You guys are already in the right direction because you're joining classes like this to learn a proven process, right? Now, principle number 3 is focus is what makes people wealthy. You only need 1 or 2 lead gen channels to get to 100K a month. Pick one and master it. So look, I used to be the worst entrepreneur with shiny object syndrome. I used to have like 20 open projects, all these things, all these little businesses that didn't really make money, which doesn't really mean it's a business, right? I would always have a million open projects. And the one thing that helped me progress so much in my business journey, more than anything else, it was simply focusing, right? Like when I scaled Revenue Boost, we hit, $40,000, $50,000 a month within the first, I think, 4 months of opening, right? Which is a lot. And we didn't do any paid ads. It was all the stuff I'm showing you guys today, right? What contributed to that success? What contributed to Revenue Boost blowing up? It was that I only focused on Revenue Boost. And within the business, I only focused on one channel, outbound lead gen. And then we added organic later and all these other things, right? I talked to a lot of really, really smart entrepreneurs and agencies, and they're stuck at 5 or 10K a month. And it's not usually because they're like stupid. Like some of them are, I feel like, are even smarter than me. It's because they cannot focus on one thing and they do not like go out and seek the information and the mentorship they need to get there, right? So you have to focus on one thing, right? Think about Sam Ovens. I got to meet Sam Ovens recently at an event. It was a mastermind. And, basically he scaled his company to $30 million a year with 2 products, 2 services, and he went to $30 million a year. So if you're sitting here and you have 10 different services, 5 different industries you like to work with, other projects on the side, other businesses, no wonder you're not making as much money as you want to. You can't choose, right? Because if I have like 10 projects, or like, again, even if you have committed to one business, you can still have shiny object internally, right? Too many marketing channels, too many ideas, too many this, too many niches, too many industries, right? You only need one niche, one offer, and one marketing channel, and you can easily get to 50K a month. And really, like, you only need a little bit more to get to 100K a month, right? So again, focus is what makes people wealthy. Focus is what makes people wealthy. When I, again, scaled Revenue Boost and then we got to 40, 50K a month in just a few months, it was because I focused on one marketing channel, one offer, one niche, and we just demolished that thing, right? So you got to focus. And if you struggle with shiny object syndrome, it's okay. Just know that you got to like pick one thing and focus and discipline yourself. Now, what helped me go from struggling and living in a car, if you guys were here last time, you heard my story. I used to live in a van. I couldn't even afford rent. I was in Arizona. And what helped me go from that to like barely scraping by to having 427 students in the last 2 years and working with some of the biggest brands in the industry, like Founder, now working with Digital Marketer, it was cold email and LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about a lot of lead gen today, but what really helped me go from struggling to scaling was committing to one channel. And that channel for me happened to be cold email and LinkedIn. That's why we recommend Outbound. However, I'm not biased. We do a lot of marketing at Revenue Boost. We see Outbound as the backbone and where to start if you're still relying on referrals. The reason I say that is because sometimes if you follow an expert or a guru or an influencer, and they're telling you like, you got to do this thing, you got to do Facebook ads, you got to do LinkedIn or whatever. Usually it's because that's all they know how to do. Usually that's not really a good mentor or expert to work with because they are very biased towards their tool. They don't have the context, right? For me, I always like to say, like, look, I'm the Outbound guy. We help a lot of agencies scale with LinkedIn and cold email and get more appointments on their calendar. But I don't just tell you guys to do Outbound because that's all I know how to do. We do ads, we have a podcast, we do YouTube, we do everything. We go to events, I host events, we do all these different things. We have a Facebook group. So because I see so many gurus that they're like, Facebook ads is the best, you have to do this. LinkedIn is the best, you have to do this. I'm telling you LinkedIn and cold email is the best because that is the best place to start. It's the most cost-effective and reliable. But it's not because we're biased. Like we do all the stuff and we always point people to start with LinkedIn, start with email. Then you can scale, get to 30, 50K a month, and then add other stuff later. So I think it's really important. All right, cool. Now we're going to advanced strategies, right? So actually, I'm going to zoom out real quick. We're going to quickly summarize part 1, then get into the advanced tips. So we have a 3-phase acquisition strategy at Revenue Boost. This is how I've grown Revenue Boost, and it's how we help countless agencies and solopreneurs scale. So first, you got to do outbound. Then you got to do inbound. Then you got to do paid. So there's only 3 really ways to get leads online, right? There's outbound. I send you a message or a call or an email. There's inbound, which is, I post content and hopefully people come and like my stuff. And then there's paid, which is, spending money on Facebook or Google ads. Here's something worth writing down. You need to do the right thing at the right time in the right way to grow your business. Even if you do like the right thing at the right time and you do kind of like a mediocre job at it, you'll still make more money than if you did the wrong thing at the wrong time, right? Or the right thing at the wrong time. And tongue twister, I know, but what this means is like, so have you guys ever felt like you listen to business content online and it's just like it doesn't apply to you, or you're not sure how to apply it, or you're like, I don't really need that, or you see someone telling you to do this and you're not sure if that fits into your situation? It's because business advice is contextual. You watching this, you have a business that's unique, right? So one thing I found is if we know that we have to do the right thing at the right time in the right way to get results, how do we know what that is, right? It's all about sequencing, right? Because if I started my business revenue boost with paid ads, I would have went broke. You should never start a business doing paid ads from the start unless you have a lot of capital to burn, because otherwise you're going to burn so much money in testing. I've done it. We spent over 30 grand in ads the last few months. So like, I'm sharing this from experience. Starting a business with paid ads, right thing, wrong time. Starting a business with outbound, right thing, right time. Starting a business with content and organic, right thing, wrong time. Why? Let me explain. If I'm starting a new business, and it's not about starting a new business, it's about like if you're trying to build your sales system and currently you're stuck relying on referrals and networking and you want to build your first, acquisition system, you have to realize that like outbound is going to be the best way because it's cheap, it's simple, it's quick, and it gets results within 1 month. We've had clients that literally within the first week or two of their campaign, they're booking calls, closing deals, getting money wired to them, right? So outbound is quick response and it's also cheap. That's why that matters, because if you start with paid ads and you start a new offer or you make that your first step, you got to be prepared to burn like at least 5, 10, 20 grand. Like that's even on the conservative side. We burned 30 grand on ads before we really even saw like the ROI we were looking for, right? And still it was not really very profitable at all. So we actually put down our budget. So paid ads should scale what's working. You should not try to start your whole acquisition system with paid ads because you will just burn so much money because you don't know what messaging works. You don't know what targeting works. You don't know what the right offer is, right? What makes you the most money in business is having the right niche, having the right offer, having the right message, having the right sales process, okay? You don't have that in the beginning, right? If you're relying on referrals and networking, and you're trying to like start doing marketing, you don't know like the niche, the message, the offer, all the stuff that's going to work. So if you start doing paid ads, you're just going to be putting a lot more money into something that doesn't even work properly, right? But with outbound, you don't have to put a lot of money in. You put in a couple $100 a month, or you can do it for free, really, if you don't use tools. And you can have time to like test out the message, test out the offer, test out the niche. And then once you know that it works, then you can go into inbound content marketing, then you can go into paid because you already know it works. So here's the thing. When you're scaling your business, the first goal is to figure out what works, right? So many people, they try to jump to scaling and automation, all these things, when they don't even know what the hell even works for their business, right? So you got to figure out like what niche, what offer, what message is going to get me clients. Figure that out through outbound because it's really easy and simple to send cold emails. And then once you know that, then you can start producing content and then you can start producing ads, right? Because if you go content marketing from day one, you don't really know like what your business is about. And also, guys, it takes years to build a solid audience. So like, yes, build an audience, build a personal brand. That's what I've done and I recommend it. But you can't really rely on that to fill your calendar and fill up your client roster in the short term, right? It takes a long journey to put to, especially like it's getting harder. These platforms, these social media platforms, they don't show you that many people, right? And currently my Facebook's been blocked for the last week. So like there's so much risk when you're just relying on content or social media because you're not in control of it and it takes a long time. Paid, same thing, so much financial risk, right? Like we spent 30 grand. We did not make 30 grand back yet, right? People underestimate how expensive paid ads is, right? To get profitable, especially at least in the B2B space. And here's the thing. Facebook's getting more expensive, right? Facebook will never lower their prices because they have an auction-based system. So their prices are only going up and up and up, and the return is just not there. So outbound is where you want to start. Now, really quick summary. We know that outbound's the way. We know that we have to find a way to generate leads. Otherwise, our business is basically built on quicksand, right? Because we're relying on referrals. What are the steps to outbound? So basically there's 3 things: identify, message, and convert. Identify is build a list. So if you want to do outbound, you want to send cold emails or LinkedIn or cold call. First, you got to pick your channels. I recommend cold email LinkedIn. It's scalable and cheap. Cold calling is a lot of hours. I didn't even want to pay someone for that. We're just going to talk about cold email LinkedIn today, but the principles you're learning can apply anywhere. First is identify, build a list, define who your niche is, and then say, okay, let me get 1,000 emails of business owners or CEOs in that niche. Then there's messaging. Messaging is, what am I going to say to these people? Okay, I have a list of CEOs that fit my target audience in the right industry, in the right geography. What do I say to them? What's my copy, right? This is where you take it out of Google Doc and you write your email templates or your LinkedIn templates and you structure it in a sequence. Usually we say, hey, a first email and then 2 to 3 follow-ups, and you send it over 2-3 weeks. We're not going to go into detail because that's Masterclass part 1. So message is copywriting, right? Message is like, what do I say? Like, look, your prospects are getting so many cold emails on LinkedIn DMs. So you need to have good messaging, which comes down to understanding your target audience and understanding what are their pain points, what are their desires, and writing about that. What you don't want to do is you don't want to send out cold emails where you're like, hey, here's my product, here's my service, here's my blah, blah, blah. Boring. No one cares because they get those emails all the day. You stand out by talking more about the prospect, their problems, and case studies of other clients you've helped as well. Step 3 is convert. You got to follow up with leads because when you start sending cold emails, you're going to get people emailing you every day. Hey, send me more information. Hey, how does this work? Hey, what's the pricing? But you need to be like following up very well to get them to book a call with you because you're not going to close a high ticket deal over an email, right? You need a call for that, right? So 3 steps to outbound, right? Build a list, message them with something different, and follow up to get them on your calendar. That's as simple as it is. This is why every agency owner should start with outbound prospecting because look how simple it is. There's only 3 steps. If you know marketers that always build these complex funnels, like I always see people on Facebook and they're like, here's my funnel, it's 47 steps. And I'm like, 47 steps? That's probably not going to make you a lot of money because that's really complicated. And that's 47 things you have to like watch over and probably are going to break, right? So you don't want complicated things. Honestly, like when you see a marketer posting about their really complex long funnel, they're just trying to sound smart, but that does not help you in your business. What you're seeing here is a simple 3-step funnel, which means there's only 3 things you need to get good at: building the list, writing the copy, and following up. That's why we always say start with outbound, because it's simple, easier, and there's not many moving parts. Now, we also talked about, you can prioritize quality of outreach versus quantity. You can send, people always ask me, hey, do I send personalized emails or do I actually just mass blast a list? There's different pros and cons to both. When we coach an agency or I work with an agency, we'll have them do both. And it really depends like on their market and on the benefits, right? So if you have a really small target market, you lean more towards personalization because you don't have many leads and you need to get a higher response rate. If you have a really big target market, you would want to go for the volume approach, but you could still use the other one too on the side. So both have different pros and cons. Just watch Masterclass Part 1 to understand that. Anyways, moving on from that. So we've talked about the key components to outbound. And if you want a deeper dive, go to Masterclass Part 1. Anyways, guys, remember, we're going to cover some advanced strategies, give away some cool stuff. We've created an AI copywriting tool that nobody has built, and this is completely unique, and you're going to get a sneak peek of it today, and we're going to give 3 lucky winners the tool, so stick around. All right, leverage. We've talked about the 3 steps to outbound prospecting on LinkedIn and email: how to get clients, how to land whale clients, and how to get them on your calendar wanting to learn about your services. We know that outbound is the best layer to build your acquisition system from, meaning if you're relying on referrals, you're relying on networking, and you're thinking, hey, where do I start? What channel do I choose? You start with outbound because it's cheaper, more simple, more reliable. You don't get banned on Facebook like I am currently. And also, like, it's just hyper targeted, right? So you don't want to start a new business with paid ads. You don't want to start a new business only in organic because organic takes a while. Paid ads is expensive and you haven't really yet validated your offer, niche, and messaging. So we know that you want to start with outbound. There's 3 steps to it. If you want to learn more about the 3 steps, you watch Masterclass Part 1 or ask me questions at the end. Now we're getting to advanced. Assuming that you have an outbound system working, you've got LinkedIn, you've got email, now you want to scale it. What do we do? First, we get leverage by automation and people in that order. So check this out. This is a testimony from one of our clients, Eddie Wheeler. And just look at the part at the bottom, right? Cool thing about Eddie is, yes, he grew his business. Yes, he 3x his revenue after working with me. That's cool. But the biggest thing is he hired a closer and appointment setter, meaning Guava is now making sales without me. Guava is his agency. More importantly, in 2021, Guava felt more like a freelancing situation while it is now a real business. A big part of that is leverage, right? So once we helped Eddie scale his copywriting agency, it wasn't just about getting clients. Eventually, it was like, hey, how do I get clients when I can go on vacation? He went to Burning Man for like 3 weeks, like this crazy festival in America, and the business grew and got clients and fulfilled while he was gone. Once you start like filling up your calendar, the new problem is, crap, I have all this work and I can't do it all myself, right? So the next step is leverage, right? So if we're talking about leverage, there's automation and people. That's the only 2 things we're going to focus on today. Automations. So you're getting some clients from cold email, you're getting some appointments. What do you do next? First, you automate things, right? You can automate the message stage first, right? Which is using Instantly. It's a tool that'll send out your emails for you, right? LinkedIn, we recommend Expandy. Cold email, we recommend Instantly.ai. Apollo gives you data, but now Instantly does it better. But you can still use Apollo, but Instantly has a built-in database that I've talked to the founders and it's really good. Find email or neverbounce.com verifies and cleans your lead list. So look, Expandy will automate your LinkedIn connects. Cold email will send cold emails for you at scale, but you need to first get emails from Apollo or Instantly's database. Then you got to put them in Find Email or Neverbounce because they are verification tools. And if you just take a list from Apollo, put it in Instantly, a lot of it's going to be shitty emails, old, outdated, bad, spam, because Apollo tells you it's verified, but they obviously suck at verifying because when I put it in Find Email or Neverbounce, it says, hey, half these emails are junk. You don't want to email outdated emails because it'll bounce back and it'll make Google look like you're spamming you and can block you, right? So yeah, basically make sure you use these tools. Anyways, automation. So, okay, so we talked about the recommended tools. We talked about how you can automate the messaging. There's an infrastructure too. You can't just start sending emails day one. You got to set up many email addresses and domains. You got to set up DNS records. You got to set up, you warm up for 2 to 3 weeks on Instantly, and you only want to send like 50 emails a day. So what does this mean? If you are used to doing like newsletters or other kinds of warm email, cold email works differently. You need a lot of email accounts. You only can really send 30, 40 a day. It's 50, but we're changing it because Gmail's changed their policies in 2024. Deliverability is getting harder. So you have to, play it on the safe side. DNS records is basically stuff you do in GoDaddy. We're not going to go into it today because we will give you guys like clarity on that and information in the group and in the Facebook chat. Warm up means, you plug your emails into Instantly and it'll kind of do this thing where it puts you in a pool of users. Everybody sends fake emails back and forth to each other. They reply to each other and it makes your email look legit. So all these things are going to help you get deliverability because you don't want to be landing in someone's spam box. They have to be able to read their email if they're going to reply to you, right? It doesn't matter how good your copy is. If it's in the spam box, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you were offering people $1 million free, right? Through PayPal, right? Like if it's in the spam box, they're not going to take you up on it. So make sure you're getting the deliverability right. Okay, cool. So we talked about some basics of tech needed. Now let's talk about people, right? What can you delegate? So right now I spend 30 minutes a week on my cold email, and it's mainly because I've delegated all these 3 steps, right? Identify, I have a VA who builds lists. Message, copy is the one thing I do myself, but I have it so templatized where it's just like really quick, right? Convert, follow up, get a meeting. I have another VA that responds to leads immediately or as soon as possible, and she'll book them on the calendar. So the cool thing about cold email and LinkedIn is it's very easy to delegate, right? Once you get the system down, you can just get a couple of VAs and run like 90% of it for you. So first you want to outsource the tedious stuff, right? Build the list, organize the list, execute campaigns, manage the software, write personalized lines, follow-ups. I don't recommend delegating your copywriting day one. You really need to delegate the easy stuff. So like, it's funny. I hear a lot of entrepreneurs that are like, oh, I'm so busy. I have so much stuff to do. I have no time to work on my business. Meanwhile, they're doing silly little things like invoices and laundry and like cleaning and like mowing their lawn and like following up with clients on invoices and doing like spreadsheets and data analytics, right? Like so many people, they try to outsource these complicated things, like let me hire a copywriter, when they haven't outsourced the simple $5 or $10 an hour tasks, right? So always with delegation, get the easy crap off your plate first, because like it just doesn't make sense to be doing your own laundry and cleaning as a business owner, nor does it make sense to be following up on invoices. So outsource the easy stuff. In terms of cold email and LinkedIn, the first things I'd recommend outsourcing is building the lists, getting contact information, and managing like the softwares that you run the campaigns from. And you can also have a VA write personalized first lines and also follow up, but get that off your plate first. And like we have full SOPs for this. Anyone who wants to learn more about our course or working with me, you can message me on Facebook. We give you like the entire process blueprinted and templated like down to the minute. So, but yeah, either way, you want to like create SOPs, which is just a list of instructions for your team. Now, once you delegate the easy stuff, now you can just focus on strategy, writing copy, and managing the VAs or setter, which is fun stuff for me. And you can eventually delegate that too. So you can train your assistant on this, or you can even get an appointment setter to take over like some of this stuff too. And once you do this, you'll have cold email campaigns. One of our clients is getting 5 appointments a day just from email, right? And by the way, that recording is also available. You can just message me on Facebook. We have a case study where a client is getting 5 appointments daily just from email, right? So like this stuff is really, really powerful, guys. And once you do this, once you delegate it, you'll be able to finally have things be kind of on autopilot, because you'll have a consistent system that'll stand the test of time. You're not going to worry about Zuckerberg just taking you out. You're not going to worry about like all these things. You just know that you have an outbound system that you can always run yourself because you own it, right? You can be super profitable because there's no ad cost, repeatable because it's reliable, easy to scale, and also works in a lot of different niches, right? Like we've helped, again, over 400 people that went through our training or worked with me directly. And like we haven't seen a niche where this doesn't work. Now let's talk about AI. So here's some things you can do with AI to help you get more leads and more clients from outreach. Feed GPT-4 your avatar or ICP information. And if you don't know who your niche is, if you need help with that, you can reach out to me about working with us, because we help our clients develop their niche, develop their offer, develop their messaging, all that stuff. But give GPT your information about who your ideal clients are. Then once it knows who your ideal clients are, it can advise you on your LinkedIn bio and headline. You could say, hey, GPT, here's my LinkedIn bio. Can you help me rewrite it? Can you make it more attractive to my audience, right? It can also critique your email or rewrite 5 to 10 variations. Now, GPT's copy is kind of questionable, but you can take like our templates and you can give that to GPT, and then it has like some good principles to work from, right? You can also personalize emails, GPT for Sheets, visit websites, write me a first line. So if you want to customize a message to someone, you can have ChatGPT actually go to their website and like analyze their business and like give you some kind of compliment or some kind of genuine way to stand out, which is really helpful, right? So you want your message to seem different, and personalizing your messages definitely helps with response rates. Cool. Now let's talk about LinkedIn versus email. What's the difference between LinkedIn and email? Where should I start? There's just pros and cons to both. People, I feel like a lot of times are looking for like the magic bullet, like the shortcut, the one tool that's going to make you rich. No tool is going to make you rich. It's how you use the tool, right? But there's pros and cons to each, so you want to consider that. LinkedIn has higher response rates. There's more trust built, right? Because you can engage on social media first. Like people go onto LinkedIn because they want to grow their business. They want to meet people who can help them. So LinkedIn is like a really high response rate. However, there's a very small limit on how many people you can message. It's really 100 a week or so, 100, 150 max. So LinkedIn is not very scalable, but you can definitely get like really high quality leads and a higher response rate. Email has a wider reach, easier to scale, less limitations. So if you need to message thousands of people, use email. If you want to message like a few hundred, you can use LinkedIn, but also like tie an email together. We use LinkedIn, we use cold email. Our clients, our students use LinkedIn and cold email, different purposes, right? Here's an example. One of our clients targets restaurant owners, but not just restaurants, like high-end restaurants and restaurant groups like franchises. Very small market. There's only really 1,000 companies in his niche. He should not blast through all of them with mass cold email, but what he can do is he can use LinkedIn to like really send a very personalized, research-based approach to each prospect, right? Really take the time to research them and craft like a customized message to each one as far as why it makes sense to work together. So again, different purposes, right? One of our clients, we've sent about 60,000 emails a month for them because they target construction companies and they have a SaaS tool that costs $100 a month. So they need a lot of volume. They need to go for like mass blast, high volume, right? So there's just pros and cons to both. And that's kind of what it comes down to. So my favorite AI tool, I mean, besides now, of course, now GPT is kind of taking the cake, but Hemingway. Hemingway highlights complex sentences and tells you what reading level you're at. So when you write copy, it shouldn't be super complicated. It shouldn't be like very long words because it just kind of loses people. So Hemingway is an app where you can put in your copy and it'll tell you, hey, this is too long, this is too complicated, this is too wordy, and you'll simplify it. Lavender goes a step further, but what Lavender does, we made a tool that like pretty much does it better. So we'll tell you guys what that is shortly. Now, use our revenue robot tools. So we created a custom GPT, which is like a customized chat window of coaching you on your proposals and also optimizing your cold emails. So we'll share this today. This is the first time I'm ever saying this publicly, but we're creating a series of like micro SaaS tools. One is basically you give it your proposal or your offer, and it tells you how to make it better, how to make it more attractive to the potential buyer. And then we have another one where you can take your cold emails and it can basically critique it 1 to 10 on various factors and tell you, hey, here's what to change to make your cold email work better and get you more results, right? So we created these tools and you guys are going to have a sneak peek at it today. Now, last thing is let's talk about lead magnets. So look, giving free stuff to get business is nothing new, right? We've been using lead magnets our whole life, right? Grocery stores give you free samples, shopping malls, they let you try perfume for free, books have a summary on the back, softwares have a free trial, cars that you test drive it, right? Service businesses use PDFs, consultations, webinars, blah, 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 right? And here's a real life example, right? If you buy a girl or a guy a drink at a bar, that's a lead magnet. You're giving them something free to incentivize them to talk to you and take the next step, right? So lead magnets are nothing new. Here's some lead magnets that have worked really well. And the reason I'm bringing up lead magnets is because if you cold email someone and you offer them a free thing, you're going to like triple your response rates. It's like insane, right? So one of our clients had an Amazon ads agency. He offered people a 30-minute PPC audit. A copywriter offered people a content analysis. An SEO agency offered people an SEO audit. And me, I gave people a 10-minute case study video. And now I'm doing like a sales audit where like I do like a analyze your sales process, show you where you're losing money or where you could be having higher conversions. So yes, give free stuff and make it unique, make it different. Don't give people a shitty little like one-page PDF. Like everyone does that and most people don't even read it. So I recommend these like customized lead magnets where the client knows you put work in for them. It's going to work the best, right? Why do lead magnets work? Everyone loves free. It's a smaller commitment. Sales is about getting a series of commitments, a series of steps and yeses. So when you offer someone something for free, it's almost like they can try it before they buy it, right? So lead magnets are such a great way to increase conversions and also get more appointments from outreach. Everyone's asking people for a sales call. Everyone's saying, hey, you know, here's my service book. And prospects are immune to it, right? Like it just, they see it all the time. So if you come in with offering something free, they're going to, you know, be more likely to say yes. And now you're standing out, right? High perceived value, and it's different. Two kinds of lead magnets. There's repeatable lead magnets where you put in the work to build it once, and then there's customized lead magnets where you deliver to each prospect. A repeatable lead magnet is like a digital product, a case study, or a PDF. But what's even better is a customized lead magnet like the ones I showed you, an audit, a report, a plan, whatever. Because the prospect knows you put time into it and they feel inclined to work with you because you help them so much. It's the principle of reciprocity. And they get to really see your work. Here's the thing, guys. A big reason people don't buy your service is because they don't see the value. Even if there's high value, they don't see the value. That's the only reason someone wouldn't buy. They don't see the value in doing it with you right now. So when you're just sitting there talking, blabbing at them, showing them like a couple slides, they still don't always see the value because you're just like, yeah, whatever, another salesperson. But when you give them a lead magnet, like a free thing, a free workshop, a free report, a free audit, they're actually seeing what your work quality is like, right? You're demonstrating you can help them rather than just selling them and talking at them. Lead magnets not only help you get more sales and more appointments on the calendar from your outreach, they also help you convert more sales because the prospect has seen your quality of work. Here's some examples. You guys can screenshot this. We'll give you the slides too. Just text me on Facebook. Pro tip is get them to opt into your lead magnet by replying. Let's say you're offering someone a free audit. Don't just send them an audit. Just be like, hey, I want to send you an audit. Would you watch it, right? Because you don't want to just send out 100 audits a day. That's not really scalable. So when you email someone or lead message someone, ask them if they want your lead magnet or your audit or your report or whatever it is before you make it, because you'll just save yourself a lot of time. So you want to make sure the lead magnet delivery is scalable. This is an example of like an email copywriter that can be sending it. This is a 2-3 sentence cold email. John, I'm a subscriber to your list. After reading a few emails, I honestly felt these could be improved. Can I share a quick video? I'll show you how to fix it, even if you want to try it yourself rather than hire me. Now, if you're someone who owns like a business, an e-commerce business or whatever, and someone emails you, a copywriter saying this, he's offering a free quick video to help you get more sales and improve the problems with your email list. That's a much more attractive offer than, hey, book 60 minutes with me, even though we just met. So this is a great script you guys can just steal and use. Like, look, and you might be thinking, oh, but AJ, if I have to make audits for all my prospects, it's going to take work. Yes, it's going to take work. It takes work to be successful. It takes work to do better than your competition, but they're not going to do the work. And if you do the work, you'll stand out. So like, yes, what I'm telling you is going to take you more time, but it's going to get you more clients. And like, what do you want? Do you want to work less, or do you want to have like more clients and then eventually work less because you'll have a business that's scaled? All right, that's it. Q&A time. Thanks for staying to the end. You guys rock, and congrats on being one of the fortunate few and not one of the mediocre many, right? So many people, they just join a training, they join a masterclass, they join a course, they sit through it for 15 minutes and then they screw up. People, they just dabble, and if you dabble, you're not going to create success. You're just going to kind of stay where you are. So appreciate all of you guys for being one of the fortunate few who can actually commit and finish something, because that's what it's all about, right? What I'm going to share with you guys here is something that nobody's ever done. In Revenue Boost, we have trainings and resources and guides around everything about scaling your agency. Cold email, LinkedIn, sales process, follow-up, offers, niche, messaging, positioning, USP, right? So what we're doing is we're taking our information and making little GPT bots for it. So what I want to show you guys here is we have the proposal master and we have the cold email grader. So here's an AI copywriting tool that, to my knowledge, we are the first to build. And it's only a GPT, but we're going to turn it into an actual tool. And this is an AI email grader. It acts like a professor. It does not do the work for you and write you copy, but you can send it your copy and it'll actually tell you how to make it better, right? And why do we do this? Because at Revenue Boost, we believe in teaching a man to fish rather than fishing for him. So rather than us make a tool that's going to write emails for you, which we're going to still do that as well, because that's cool too. This is even more important. Your income is directly tied to your skills and your value in the marketplace, right? So we always create tools that help you guys become more skilled, more valuable, more knowledgeable, and therefore deserving of higher prices. So this tool is not going to write copy for you, but it's going to show you how to write better copy, which to me is like much better. So here's what happens. It's simple as this. You put in your email, and then you basically get me coaching you for free in, robot form. So check it out. And let me know your feedback, guys, because you are literally the first people ever to see this tool. So I would love your feedback, and yeah, fun stuff. You're not going to find this online. This is just kind of a favor because we keep it really for our clients. It rates you on the subject line, the length, the simplicity, the pain points, the desire, the authority, the sentence length, the conclusion, and the you-focused language and the tone. So this is really what goes into a good cold email. It's these factors, and it rates you on a 1 to 10. If you want some help in Q1 of next year with getting more leads, more appointments, more clients, and scaling the business, book a call. We still have spots. As of now, we are open for enrollment for the next quarter. That changes all the time. So if you're curious about it, you want to learn more, you want to get some personalized advice, book a call with us and we can show you how the systems you learned today, we can help you install at like lightning speed and save you a whole lot of time. Cool. Well, time for questions. So while running my cold email campaign, sometimes I get a 70% open rate, but almost 0 replies. Can you give me your advice? Okay, so if people are opening your emails, that means that your subject line's good. That means your deliverability is good. That means you're actually landing in the inbox. If they're not replying, that means either the offer stinks, the copy is not good, or it's not the right people, right? You could post it in our Facebook group and get advice of the copy, but essentially, if you're not getting replies, either they don't want what you're selling, or they did, but the copy was too long and crappy and complicated, right? And they couldn't really understand it, or they just didn't read it all, or it's not the right list, because you could have the right offer, the right message, but it's not really the right people for that offer. So you got to really hone in like the niche and offer to get your reply rate up. Paul says, where do you funnel leads after a positive reply via email or LinkedIn? Message warm up, lead gen, VSL, webinar, training. Yeah, really whatever works. There's no right or wrong process, but you do want to, so it's not just about booking calls, guys. It's about booking qualified calls who want to buy from you. You want to hop on a call with someone who's like, hey, I want to buy this, right? So I recommend you have a step before your call where they watch like a 10-minute video. Could be a case study or a VSL. But if you educate your leads before the call, then it's going to be much easier to close. And they're going to actually show up to the call wanting to work with you. Daniel says, what are the new Gmail updates? Daniel, we did a training in the Facebook group about Gmail's 2024 updates and the new spam regulations. Everybody doing email marketing needs to know Gmail's new policies. If you don't, I did a training on it 2 weeks ago in the Facebook group. Just go to the Facebook group, B2B Sales and Marketing Secrets. Go to the recent videos and you'll see it pretty recent. If not, just DM me on Facebook and I can tag you in it. But just go to the Facebook group. I did a whole training on Gmail's 2024 policies and how it's getting like harder to not land spam. And you guys will be fine. You just need to kind of know a couple of extra rules. So that's pretty much it. Adrian says, what's the best lead magnet you've seen? Are they specific to the niche? They're not specific to the niche, but the best lead magnets I've seen are generally an audit or analysis because you're finding problems. And it's hard when you give someone a list of their problems in an area of their business, you create an open loop in their mind, which means like, okay, I have these problems, therefore I need a solution. They can't ignore it. He's going to eat at them at night, right? So audits are great, but it depends on the niche. The best lead magnet is the one that the most people say yes to. So it's specific to the niche. Do people get confused when they get emails from domains that are different than a business name? Good question, Scott. No, because you can redirect it. So if I have revenueboost.net and I'm sending a cold email from like revenueboost.io, I would redirect revenueboost.io to revenueboost.net so that if they search it, they'll go to the same website. So it's fine. If my lead magnet cost me money, like $100 or $150, would you advise I go for it? Yes, just give it to the right people. So yes, a lead magnet will cost you money because to give someone an audit, you got to spend time or you got to pay someone for their time. But if you send lead magnets to the right prospects and they help you get more clients, it'll work out. If you think about any money or time you spend on a lead magnet or like doing like free work, like try before you buy, consider that your CPA, your cost per acquisition, right? If you spend money on ads, you're going to spend up to X dollars to get a client. Same thing works with other channels too. How many calls are needed to convert a client to a paying client without wasting much time? Yeah, so conversion rate is very per niche, but you want to close at least 20%. If you're not closing at least 1 out of every 5 calls you give an offer to, then there's definitely issues in the sales process and you're losing money if you don't fix that, right? Like, so today we talked about getting leads. Sales is a whole other thing, but like if you're getting lots of appointments and you're not closing at least 1 out of 5 who gets an offer, you're losing money and you're leaving on the table and you got to like start doing some sales training ASAP. So topic for another day, but minimum 20%.
Hey, what's up, AJ? When we look at how AI is kind of coming as a contender, from a pricing and overall value for, clients, it's becoming something where they're like, hey, look, you have great value, great portfolio, but I could find someone from an AI perspective that could do it a lot less. So deliver something kind of mirror to what you're doing. So just interested to see how you would deal with that as a contender and to like a space within digital marketing.
So yeah, so what you're saying is some clients, they want to pay less because they know AI can do some things like cheaper, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. I always say be like the highest or like one of the highest prices and just deliver the value, right? The best case scenario with your pricing is you're not the highest, but you're like up there, but you have a great value, right? Because then you're not the most expensive. Premium price is the way to go. So if you're hearing, hey, I found a cheaper option, or I know these guys that can do it, for cheaper because they're using AI, then you just literally ask them this. Hey, well, just so I know, what's more important, getting the result you want and having a quality job or saving the most money? Like what's more important, right? So like, we can even practice, Jacob, just pretend to be a client real quick or a prospect.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, AJ, so Matt, I love this proposal. I love what you guys have done, but I found someone that could actually make me a website for about $500 using AI. So I don't know, paying 3K for you, it just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, no, I totally understand, Jacob. You got to manage the costs. If you found someone for so cheap, like what was the reason you didn't hire them? Or why did you still come to me?
Actually, I wanted to check out the space and kind of see what was out there. This is my first time, actually looking for a web designer, like for something to build that way. So I actually came across this using Google search and just kind
Oh,
of,
okay. Yeah. So, okay. So you just wanted to explore more options is what I'm hearing, right?
yeah, correct.
Did you have any concerns about $500? Because that's like really low. Like I know some people that spend like 30 grand for a website. Like, did you have any concerns or like, how did you feel about that proposal?
As a new entrepreneur, I mean, I thought it was actually pretty awesome to see something that was like at that price point. But it did definitely drive curiosity just because, it's different compared to a lot of other people that do similar things. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question, Jacob. Do you think that if I'm offering you 3 grand, that I'm going to give you more service than the guy offering you $500, or you think like it's the same thing either way?
I mean, logically, and then just from a thought process, there's kind of two ways I could look at that. Is like, yeah, potentially you could be, offering more, or am I paying more because maybe the name to it, right? So when you think of like maybe like a Kia and a Lexus, right, you're paying a little bit more for different, X, Y, and Z. So
Yeah, yeah. Like our prices are pretty average for what I do. I'm not 6 times more expensive. So what it comes down to is like how much you value quality over saving money. If the most important thing to you is like saving money and only spending $500, go with that guy. But if you care more about like growing the business and making sure the job gets done correctly, then you would go with someone like me. I mean, it's the same as like if you go to a mechanic and one offers you $10,000, one offers you $100, and they're saying it's the same thing, you don't really necessarily care what it costs. You just want to make sure it fixed, right? Even if 10,000 is a lot, like there's no point of paying a mechanic at all if it doesn't work, right?
right.
So with that said, Jason, what's more important to you here? You said that before, a website is going to help you grow your business to 100K a month because you'll have a more professional brand. Is it more important for you to get to 100K a month, or is it more important for you to save $2,500?
Getting to 100K is definitely the priority and big focus.
Okay, so do you feel like it would make sense to work with someone like me, or are you still thinking about the $500 guy?
Yeah, no, thinking it through. I mean, I definitely would want to go with you. Yeah, very nice done, man. That was incredible.
Yeah. Oh, the invoice is in the chat, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. I understand.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, AJ.
Yeah. So real quick, what's the takeaway from that? You notice how I didn't like most salespeople, they'll just talk at you and they'll just like blab at you and like tell you why you're wrong. And that just pisses people off because we all have egos, right? So what
Yeah.
was your takeaway from how I answered the question of like someone's cheaper?
I think for me, like just from a takeaway standpoint, first off, the confidence, I think that was a very strong thing there. I mean, you know the quality of your work, but
Yeah.
then you instantly connected to my emotions and said, hey, what's more important, getting something at 500 or do you want to achieve that goal of 100,000, et cetera, right? Boom, you hit me right there. I was like, yeah, that's far more for me.
Yeah, and that was a question that's almost like impossible to answer. You would feel dumb saying $500, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
and I could have told you like, oh, but Jason, you're going to pay more and I'm going to give you better service. You wouldn't believe it because I'm a salesperson, right? When salespeople tell us things, we usually kind of discount it because we know they're biased. So you have to turn your statements into questions, right? So by me asking you that, it's about helping prospects think through things. Because when someone says, I want to go for the cheapest, they're not thinking it through, right? So you just got to ask questions to help them see like what that really means. I gave you an analogy of a mechanic. So another one is like cars. Like, look, if you go to a car dealership and they're offering you two Lexuses or two Mercedes, and one's $1,000, one's $30,000, would you go with the $1,000 one? And they'd be like, no. And then you'd be like, well, why? It's $1,000. And he'd be like, because it's probably a scam. It probably doesn't work.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So you have to have your clients have the aha moments. But yeah, dude, like you just have to explain how your service is not AI. And you can be like, look, I could use AI. It's just going to give you crappy content. And you're in a competitive space. You need better content, like whatever it is, right? It's always about owning your position. If you're the highest price, own it. Be confident. This is why it's better. Do you want this or not? If you do want someone cheaper, that's fine. I'm not your guy.
I love it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure thing, man. And thanks for joining. Well, I think Travis has a question, then we're wrapping up.
I'm starting again after having been a freelancer in the past with no real sales system. And then I worked for Adam Lyons for a year and a half. And now I'm starting my own thing again. Yep.
He's cool. Yeah, he's really cool.
Yeah. So now I'm just getting started, which means like I have more skills than I did, but I don't really know what to do with those skills. So I can do, WordPress, web design, SEO, Google Analytics. I learned a little bit about email marketing and how to basically integrate everything into like this whole convoluted funnel if we want to make it convoluted, which we definitely don't want to do. But I picked up a lot of those skills, right? So now I'm trying to figure out what the hell to do with all these skills that I have.
Sure.
And so that's what I haven't tacked down. I could see myself helping almost anybody, but that's not a plan.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Definitely, man. If you can relate to Travis's issue of I do all these things, I've helped all these clients, I don't know what to focus on. First of all, go to Digital Marketers Podcast. I was on Digital Marketers Podcast maybe a couple weeks ago, and I had a whole episode talking about niching down and how to find out what you're like should be doing in your business, like who you should serve. I would listen to that podcast because yeah, I talked for like 45 minutes about just niching down. Anyways, I'm still gonna give you an answer, but check out the Digital Marketer Podcast with me on it.
Will do for sure.
Yeah. But anyways, what do you want to do? So look, dude, you can build $1 million company doing web design. You can build $1 million company doing SEO. You can build $1 million company doing whatever, probably like anything, right? Like being a dog walker, right? So out of all the things you do, I would think about what is your zone of genius? What are you the best at? What do you enjoy the most? And maybe what do you see there's a big like market need for? Like where do you see things going? It's kind of those kinds of questions, but what comes to mind?
Yeah. Here's the challenge with that. I love doing web design. I'm more of an artist. That's how I got into this in the first place, is the visual design element. So I have learned, or maybe this is a false belief. Maybe you can absolve me of this belief today, that web design isn't what companies actually need. Making a nice looking website with a good user interface is great and all, but that's not actually lead gen. It doesn't actually bring in business, things of that nature. So that's kind of what I've always thought, is like, yeah, web design is something that should be in your service package, but there needs to be more. And that's been my belief for a few years. Like you can't just build a $1 million company on just web design.
You definitely can build $1 million company in web design, but I see where the concern's coming from because yeah, it's like clients do need other things sometimes. I think it's always great to align your business with your passion because like if you're going to be doing it for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, depending on how old everyone is here, then like you got to like what you do. There's no reason to not like what you do. It's easier now to make a business out of anything because we have Zoom and we have Facebook and we have LinkedIn and we have email and all these things and AI that are like basically all free, right? So you make money doing anything. You might as well do what you like. So then what I'm hearing there is I'm hearing like I like art and I like making things look nice. So that could be web design, that could be brand design, that could be social media templates design, that could be. So what about like a design agency then?
Yeah, I mean, that's already kind of the direction I'm going with. And then I do like, in a weird way, because when I was working for Adam, he kind of made me learn about Google Analytics and about Google Tag Manager and about tracking data. And so now I actually kind of like that too, because you spend time doing something, you begin to like it, unless you already hate it.
Yeah.
And so now I actually kind of like that stuff as well. So it's not like I mind doing SEO. I'm just trying to think of like, okay, great. I have this core skill set. I mean, web design and SEO and analytics and all that stuff, that goes together like peas and carrots. Now, who do I help? I don't really have a niche in mind. A lot of people get their niches because, oh, I used to be a construction worker and I used to be a foreman and I know that these guys need help and I know how to speak the language. I don't really have stuff like that,
Yeah, I know what you mean. You probably do. You just probably haven't thought about it in a while, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. This is what we help our clients with, right? If you're considering between a couple of niches, you can rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 on all these different factors. A niche should check the boxes on all the ones from 1 to 10 on the left here, and then down below are kind of nice to haves. But you can brainstorm a couple of niches you're thinking of, and then rate them on these factors, and whatever gets the highest score, that's usually going to be the best niche. You're welcome, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah if you celebrate something else. But anyways, on that note, you can niche on a service or an industry or both. I do both. I niche down to agencies and I niche down on like the service, which is consulting on outbound and sales. It's usually better to niche down on a service in the beginning because you can get good faster and then you can niche down on one industry later, right?
Oh, thank God. Okay, that makes me feel so much better
Why?
because I've always heard niche down in an industry, and I could not think of an industry to save my life. But I know what my skill set is, and I know a bunch of people in various industries need that same skill set. And so that makes sense. And also, I like it because there's other things that I want to learn too. Like Go High Level is this, you know what Go High Level is? I worked with it the last couple of months working with Adam. It seems to be a thing that people are moving sort of in that direction. I want to learn all about it, blah, blah, blah. So if I can offer a set of services, and that's my niche, I understand that and I have clarity around that. I know that much better than I do, industries I've never thought of, for example.
Yeah, perfect, man. And then you can get 20 clients over the next year. And then you can look in a year from now and be like, okay, which were the best clients? And then boom, problem mostly solved.
Yep, yep, that's what I'm thinking too. Oh, thank God. All right, awesome.
Cool, man. Does that help?
That totally helps.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Glad it was useful. So yeah, also the other thing too is like niching is not a marriage. You can change your niche in 3 months if it doesn't work. So don't worry so much about like making a big decision because if it doesn't work, you can always just scrap it. But also in terms of design, you could build a huge agency just doing website design. So let me ask you, so you're the designer, right? Let's say I'm a company who's doing a few $1 million a year in e-commerce revenue and I have crappy design. How would that hurt my business?
That's going to totally hurt your business because when people come to your website, two things are probably happening. Number one, they get the impression that you're just not professional
Yeah,
because,
you look like a noob, right?
uh-huh. And I, in fact, did a website facelift, and these are the projects I like doing the most a couple of months ago, where not only do you not look professional, but there's part of the bad design from like 12, 15 years ago is there's
Oh
so many
yeah.
buttons and so many links
Yeah,
that
the
nobody
thumbnails,
knows
yeah.
what the hell they're supposed to do. And so you spend all this work getting them to your website. They get to the website and there's nothing for them to do because they don't know what of the 12 links they're supposed to click on and they just leave.
Gotcha. So there's a lot of money to be made in fixing that, right?
Yeah.
So why couldn't you build $1 million agency solving that? You said people also need leads, but like, what if they already have plenty of leads and they just have this problem?
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess because so far I don't have a sales process in place, it's always been on referrals and like just kind of accidentally stumbling into
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
And the people
yeah.
I get referred to, it's like they have problems with both. I have
Right.
not accidentally encountered someone who's just amazing at getting leads and they get all their shit together and
Yeah,
they've
and
got
everyone's
employees and processes, but the
right.
website still happens to suck. I
Ah,
just
see,
haven't. Mhm.
yeah, that makes sense. So you just mentioned something important. So marketing affects the rest of your business. The clients you get determine your whole business, right? So
Yep.
when you're running referrals, you just take whatever comes to you, right? And maybe those guys don't need design, they need leads, right? So once you get your outbound system going, then you can pick the clients you want. Okay, my ideal client already has leads, they just need design. So it just comes down to that, right? So like what you're explaining about, clients not needing design, that's not a design problem. That's a marketing problem because you're not getting leads that fit the criteria, right? So you see how that works?
Right. And then, so then my next question is, yeah, I do totally see how that works. My next question is, how do I determine who is getting the leads, but their design is terrible? Like, how do I suss that out? How do I build a list of
Um,
those people?
you could look at businesses that are 10, 20 years old and assume they have maybe like not updated it. Or you could just have
Mhm.
a VA go find a list of 100 websites that look like shit and then just there you go.
But then how do I know they're getting leads? Oh, because they're still in business. Otherwise, they'd be out of business.
Yeah, you can have a gist. You can look at someone's website and kind of know if they're successful or not. How many reviews do they have? How many services do they have? How many pages do they have, right? So, and you can even use tools like SEMrush to see how much traffic they're getting, right? So,
Hmm.
you could give these instructions to a VA and like they could pretty quickly find you a list.
Yep, that's awesome. SEMrush. Yep, got it. Get you.
Sure thing.
Gotcha.
Sure thing. All right, guys. We'll appreciate all of you. We'll see you on the next masterclass, and I hope to see some of you post the learning lessons in the group and catch up with all of you very soon. All right, see ya. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like and drop a comment. Tell me, what was your biggest takeaway or #1 learning lesson from the masterclass today? Also, don't forget to subscribe for more weekly content on B2B lead gen, marketing, and high-ticket sales, scaling agencies. And also, last thing, this was the part 2 of a 2-part live event recently we did, a 2-part masterclass, right? So if you haven't watched the part 1 of this masterclass, you're gonna love that as well, and that's gonna help, click a lot of things into place for you. So you can click the link here and watch the part 1 of the cold outreach masterclass to go along with what you learned today. All right, I'll see you in the next video, and see you soon.